people on Zoom as well.
Are they on?
They're on.
Holly?
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Holly.
You're loud and clear, Holly.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you can.
We're on. Okay, so we're going to, how you
Really
doing?
delayed.
Ooh.
Very delayed. And it repeated.
I don't see her. She's not up there in image.
No.
Oh, he didn't mute YouTube. That's what happened.
Yeah. Well, we'll work through it.
There we go. Holly, can you still hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, but he can only see two people.
Okay, we're going to start. I'm going to call the meeting to order, July 21 at 7:02. Can I ask for a roll call?
Carlo Chicharrillo,
Here.
Diana Eckert,
Here.
Todd Eichels,
Here.
Holly Priestley,
Here.
and it does not appear that Lydia Galante is on the call. Chairman Zinni.
Here. So we have a quorum. Okay, I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda for tonight. We have one petition to consider. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I guess we should do roll call because Holly is on Zoom.
Fine with me.
So Diana Eckert,
Aye.
Carlo Chicharrillo,
Aye.
Todd Eichels,
Aye.
Chairman Zinni,
Yes.
Holly Priestley. Sorry, Holly.
That's okay. I'm here.
Oh,
All right. So I'd like to also, somebody had a chance to look at last meeting's minutes. If there's no changes, I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes from 5/19/2021.
I can second that, or I'm sorry. What are my words?
move to approve.
You
There
move
you
to
go.
approve.
There you go. Move to approve.
There we go. Second.
Second.
Okay.
Holly Priestley,
Here.
Carlo Chicharrillo,
Aye.
Todd Eichels,
Aye.
Diana Eckert,
I'm abstaining. I was not present.
Chairman Zinni.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to state we're going to be hearing ZBA 21-465, a petition by Mr. Paul Kopardowski. Correct? Thank you. For 275 Park Lane, a variation to a permit for a detached garage of 1,000 square feet in lieu of 768 square feet. I'd like to have them open a public hearing. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Diana Eckert,
Aye.
Todd Eichels,
Aye.
Holly Priestley,
Here.
Carlo Chicharrillo,
Aye.
Chairman Zinni.
Yes. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
So the public hearing tonight is for 275 Park Lane. It's a variation to permit a detached garage of 1,100 square feet in lieu of the 768 square feet permitted by code. The property is zoned R1 single family residence. To the north, south, and west, everything is zoned R1. And the properties to the east are zoned R2. I'd like to sort of update my staff memo with some additional information. I stated that the house was built without a garage. I don't have the original house plans, but I do now know that there was a 2-car attached garage to the house that was converted to living space. So this would be the only garage on the property. The zoning ordinance permits a detached garage of 768 square feet, which typically would fit 3 cars. It's a standard 3-car garage size. Mr. Kopardowski has asked for about 1,100 square feet, so 40 by 27 and a half. And it would fit two cars in tandem, essentially. It wouldn't be four across, it's two in tandem. There's a two-car garage bay in the front facing park, and then an 8-foot garage door facing the rear yard. It would have a hardy board siding finish. The height of the garage, as well as all setbacks, or the proposed setbacks, meet all the requirements in the zoning ordinance for detached accessory structures in the R1 zoning district. I noted in my staff memo that if the garage was attached to the house, he would not need to request a variation. You're permitted to essentially build a garage equal to the square footage of your house if it's attached to the house. I had originally suggested that to the petitioner in order to avoid a variation. However, due to the configuration of the rooms in the home to connect an attached garage, he has decided to move forward with requesting this variation. We've received a lot of public comment tonight in advance of the meeting. So I will begin reading all of them into the record. So I would appreciate everyone's patience. Let's see.
So I'd like to state that this was properly advertised.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The first public comment is from John Ness at 212 Park Lane. The proposal to build a 6-car garage at 275 Park Lane is in effect making the address a business property in a residential area. Increased traffic on Park Lane in Thorndale, where there is foot traffic with children on the streets, creates a dangerous situation on streets with minimum streetlights, no sidewalks, and not even median street striping. I oppose this zoning change. Anthony and Jean Bonavolanta, a 6-car garage addition should not be approved for this or any residential district. The use in effect would allow a use not considered appropriate for a residential district. If an owner desires a 6-car garage, he should rent or buy a location in a business zone location, not in a residence district. Let's see. Just have to pull up the rest. It looks like John Ness resubmitted comment. The proposal to build an 1,100 square foot garage with front and back doors at 275 Park Lane is in effect making the address a business property in a residential area. Increased traffic on Park Lane in Thorndale, where there is traffic with children on the streets, creates a dangerous situation on streets with minimum street lights, no sidewalks, and not even median street site striping. I oppose this zoning variance. Dear Zoning Board, thank you for the opportunity to comment on the petition from the owners at 275 Park Lane in Roselle. My husband and I have lived at the property next door to the petitioner, 285 Park Lane, with our son for over 17 years. I remember how fortunate we felt to have purchased a home in Roselle and to find a home in a very quiet cul-de-sac location with tree-lined streets in proximity to 2 walkable parks. Only after we moved in did we also realize that many of our neighbors grew up in Roselle and many within the same homes that their parents once occupied. Unfortunately, our former neighbors at 275 Park Lane moved to Arizona and rented out their home to someone who did not maintain the property as well as the owner. The home eventually fell into bankruptcy and was purchased by the current owner at 275 Park Lane. According to public hearing notification letter ZBA 21-465, the current residents of the property at 275 Park Lane have asked the Village of Roselle to approve a variance to Roselle zoning ordinances and any and all variations as may be required to construct a detached 1,100 square foot 4-car garage on the current lot, which is zoned for a 2-car garage of 768 square feet maximum. The property was purchased by the current residents in 2016 with a pre-existing attached two-car garage that was within Roselle zoning ordinances and allowed for green space within the current property lines in a manner that was consistent with maintaining appropriate water flow within the surrounding area and was consistent with the amount of green space found on other residential properties in this part of Roselle. Since the original purchase of the home, the current owners sealed the attached two-car garage and are now requesting that the people of Roselle forego our village standards and ordinances so they can build a 4-car detached garage of 1,100 square feet. The new structure requested is nearly 1.5 times the size of the 768 square foot maximum allowed by section 4.08 D1B of the Village of Roselle zoning ordinance. This large of a variation represents the addition of a new permanent structure that is more than half the size of the original square footage of the residents on this site, and essentially eliminates the green space between our property and the property at 275 Park Lane. I would like to express my family's strong opposition to the zoning variance and request that the Village of Roselle deny this variance request, thereby maintaining current zoning ordinances and upholding the quality of the residential area surrounding the 275 Park Lane property. Arguments for denial of this request include the following. The addition of this large permanent structure on the property is not within current zoning ordinances, and exceptions of this significant magnitude should not be permitted by the village. Village ordinances are in place in part to maintain quality of life, property values, and overall personal safety of residents within Roselle city limits. The village board and its elected officials should uphold those standards on behalf of all the residents of Roselle. The plans submitted for the garage include the addition of a garage door that would open to the back of the property east side. The need for a garage door to the back of the property is inconsistent with standard residential use and allows for individuals to move and potentially park additional vehicles in the backyard area of the property, which could create an unsightly collection of vehicles within property lines. This additional garage door opening is also suggested of non-residential uses of the proposed garage. We mentioned this risk because we have witnessed multiple vehicles, cars, motorcycles, and trailers being dropped off at the property at 275 Park Lane, some undergoing renovation or repair. Observed individuals examining the vehicles and ultimately leaving with those vehicles. Behaviors that are consistent with the buying and selling of used vehicles at this property. The addition of a permanent 1,100 square foot structure on the site will significantly change the hardscape within this lot, which has the potential to negatively impact water flow to surrounding neighbors and cause flooding to surrounding neighbors. The request for any and all other variations as may be required to construct this structure is too broad a request. All variations requested in village ordinances that would be required to build this structure should be detailed to the zoning board, and neighbors should be informed so that an accurate picture of the impact of this or any other permanent structure on this lot can be fully assessed. Surrounding neighbors purchased homes in this area with an expectation that village ordinances would maintain green space and general neighborhood standards. To date, the owners of 275 Park Lane have demonstrated a consistent disregard for village ordinances as shown in figures 3 to 5 below, and the village should not allow the owners of this property to continue to erode standards of living within Roselle. Jim Berg submitted, deny the zoning changes, need to maintain current zoning ordinances. The requested zoning changes will promote a commercial work zone, not current with the residential neighborhood. Jerry Keller. After careful evaluation and visiting the proposed site on Park Lane, I strongly appeal to the board to decline this variance. It is apparent from a volume of cars and motorhomes continually visiting the property that the petitioner is running a repair business, which is not properly zoned for business. The traffic pattern has increased considerably since his possession of property. That said, this approval would devalue the property in the general area, which would not be good for the neighborhood or the village. Or our ordinances have been created to help keep Roselle a place that families can rely on their property to not only hold their value, but build equity for the future. I would like to see all ordinances enforced. Higher property values mean increased taxes to provide better schools. Roselle needs to take pride in the village and continue in making a better environment for our community. Additional cars, boats, motorhomes, horse trailers, etc., does not accomplish that intent to make Roselle better. The additional traffic must also be considered. If this request is passed, it may also allow such petitioners to apply for same consideration. I appeal all of you to vote no on a variance. Dear petitioner, we have never met, but I understand from your closer neighbors that you and your wife are very nice and the comments are not to be taken personally. I want to quote to you the zoning ordinance that is on the village website. The Village of Roselle's zoning ordinance, Appendix A, exists primarily to protect and promote the health, safety, and welfare of our residents. It also serves to preserve and strengthen property values within the village, as well as to encourage appropriate land uses that complement and respect the surrounding neighborhood. Among many other means, the zoning ordinance accomplishes these goals by defining, restricting, and setting standards for the type, size, intensity, and character of uses and structures within the village to ensure sound development and thoughtful planning. As a member myself of the Zoning and Planning Commission, most of my votes are weighed and based on this definition and guidance. And as a resident, I am grateful that these ordinances are in place because they help to preserve and strengthen my property value, among other things. With that said, I would like the Zoning of Appeals Commission to consider the following. One, from my own observation and assumptions, this petitioner has been using his residence as some type of auto business or contracting business. I made a formal complaint on this property months ago when I was tired of seeing the multiple cars, trucks, sack tires, motorhomes, and other industrial materials in the driveway and street. A residence is not an appropriate land use for any type of auto, contracting, etc. business where materials for that business are being stored and used at the home, especially if there's an exchange of money and especially if there are customers who come and go. Two, I appreciate the petitioner wanting a garage to store his possessions. However, as our ordinances state on the village website, we, the village, accomplish and preserve property values by restricting and setting standards for the type, size, intensity, and character uses of structures. I feel that this garage is too big for the site, too much hardscape. It's not in character with the rest of the homes in this neighborhood. Will there be any drainage/water problems? I asked the zoning appeal commissioners to please think about what precedent they will be setting if a structure of this size is granted. I also would like the zoning appeals commissioner to ask the petitioner if he has been or is still running some type of auto contracting business from his residence. And if so, is it his intent to maintain that business once either his 4 or 2 car garage is granted? I would like the zoning commissioners to also ask if he was granted a permit to convert his original garage into living space. In closing, I'm against granting the 4-car garage, but like to see a 2-car garage. I was born and lived in this neighborhood until I went away to college. After graduating college and getting married, I still wanted to live in a neighborhood with large lots, big mature trees, and open spaces. So that's why I came back to this neighborhood. It's a desirable and sought out neighborhood to live in for those residents alone. Let's keep it that way. Sincerely, Beth Stein. Dear Ms. Brooks, I have lived on Park Lane in Roselle for over 40 years. As a long-term resident, I'm requesting that the Village of Roselle deny the request for a variance at 275 Park Lane. The current zoning ordinances were established to help maintain the personal safety of residents. The addition of an 1,100 square foot structure to be utilized as a garage on the site is not appropriate for a residential area. The potential increase in traffic to and from this building on Park Lane would be a direct threat to myself, a direct threat to myself as a senior citizen, the young children in the neighborhood, and the children who utilize Lions Park. Safety must be a top priority for the village. Therefore, the request should be denied. And those are all my public comments.
Okay. Do commissioners, any questions for staff?
Well,
Well, we'll get there. This is just us. We have a question. for staff. You'll get an opportunity, yeah, after the, petition. I got a question. You stated one thing that if this was attached, the size of the garage could be built.
That's correct.
Okay.
And
You're
the
allowed
structure,
half the size of the building.
you're allowed the total gross floor area of your house to be the maximum.
786.
No,
I
that's
forgot.
just for detached garages.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting point. Thank you. I misunderstanding. Now, in the package, I see an architectural site plan. Is there an actual survey plan, a legal document? Because I just was looking at these dimensions. And some,
So that is from his plat of survey that his architect used.
so the actual plan isn't in here.
That is just essentially the plat. He's just used it to draw on the garage.
Okay, because I noticed there's other improvements on the lot that are not here. So
Okay.
it's not correct.
It must not be.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I don't understand how a garage, an attached garage could be that big. Wouldn't it depend on the size of the lot?
Right, so the property would still need to meet lot coverage requirements and setbacks for primary structures, which are greater for primary than accessory structures. So it's theoretically, you can have a garage the same size as your house, but you would have to stay within the 40% lot coverage and meet all setbacks.
Exactly. So a blanket statement like that would be incorrect. He wouldn't be necessarily allowed. It would depend on if it met all the other requirements.
Correct. The statement was just saying that if this particular garage was attached to his house, he would not have to request a variance,
But as long as it still meets all the other stuff.
which it essentially would if it was
There
attached.
was concern about water drainage. That's definitely a big concern. So staff said, you don't feel that there's going to be a problem?
No, he's under 40% lot coverage. So there shouldn't be any.
With an attached garage of this size, how much more can he add to the lot coverage for a garage without going above 40%? Is that looked at?
I don't know it off the top of my head. I know I have calculated it in the past, but I don't.
I think that's the question we're trying to get to, yeah. Because we understand that you're allowed that much coverage, but then the size of the lot dictates how much you can actually put on there.
Right.
And I was curious, based on the house, the driveway and all the hard surfaces, how much more garage you can actually add to the house if it was attached?
He can have this 1,100 square foot garage if it was attached.
And not be over the 40%.
Correct.
Okay.
But then he'd have to sprinkle the house,
Probably.
which is why it's going for detached.
Oh,
Trigger the 50%, in which then you have to sprinkle the home.
50%,
50% addition, you have to sprinkle the home.
new construction, yeah.
So that's why it's,
Oh, I apologize.
I'm sorry.
Um, It said that if it was attached and it was a 50% addition to the home would have to be retrofitted and sprinkled with fire sprinkler system, which is most likely why they're pushing to have it as a detached. So that doesn't trigger any work done to the house.
So let me ask that question. If the structure was attached, but there was no passage between the garage and the house, you'd still have to walk out and into the house. that would still put them under code where you'd be attached garage, correct? So you don't have to have a passage between the garage into the house.
There's nothing in the zoning ordinance about that.
Okay. And then with the zoning or with the sprinkler, if he had a fire separation, would that still be required?
Yes.
It still would be. Okay, thank you. I have no other questions.
Just one point of clarification. I'm curious about the two-car garage that was turned into living space. So it essentially, he added probably several, and I don't know if it was the petitioner that did that or not. It sounds like we're unclear
It
about.
was the petitioner.
Okay. So essentially his detached garage, the allowance of the detached garage becomes bigger because of turning the original garage into livable space. Correct? You wouldn't go off the old numbers prior to the building of the two-car garage.
Yeah, they're not related to each other. It's just more if you're under the 40% lot coverage. And then because he's requesting a detached garage larger than 768 square feet.
I see.
Several years, we were getting large detached garages in Roselle, so they passed an ordinance to keep it down to 7.
Yeah.
Detached garages.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's where that came from.
Okay.
And that's supposed to be big enough for 3 cars,
Correct.
bigger than mine.
But I was actually here when that took place. I guess I'm getting gray here. Any other questions? Anybody? Holly, you have any questions at all?
I had already asked mine earlier. I got mine answered.
Is there anybody else?
Oh, yeah, let me read her question just for everyone to have it. Sorry about that. Here it is. Holly originally asked earlier today, I have a question about 275 Park. As per the sales history, the home was sold in 2016 with a 2-car garage. And per the tax records, there was an attached 2-car garage listed on file. Do we know what happens to the existing garage? So I had answered that there wasn't a 2-car attached garage that this petitioner converted to living space. It was originally unclear because I don't have the original documents from when the house was built. And then the plans he submitted didn't show that it was a garage being turned into living space. It was more a remodel. So I didn't make the connection until it was pointed out to me.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? No? I'd like to welcome the petitioner to come up and make any statements if you wish. Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. Yes. Thank you. State your name and address for the record.
Paweł Kapardowski, 275 Park Lane.
Meetings, yeah. Okay. So yes, we do petition for the variance. As you mentioned, every information you have said is correct. We did have a time to review all the concern that came along with the petition and do want to address some of them because, this is our home, we live here as a family. So number one, there's no business running out of the house. There is a lot of vehicles, 4 in general, that we use for personal use. So therefore, we asked for a little bit bigger of a garage so we can store these vehicles inside, not on the driveway like we have, along with some of the materials and so forth that were mentioned. And mainly it's a roofing material, as we're also in the process of constructing a new roof, as we have a flat roof and that proven to be a little bit of a fiasco. So these are the materials that are on the driveway, along with some of the brick that we purchased for the front of the garage. So it's sitting there. So our goal is essentially to make it look better. We chose the 4-car garage just to make sure it fits our needs and then we don't have to store anything in the driveway. Traffic one,
Squeeze that three-car garage in there because we don't have enough space.
correct. So
We have to do that like the L shape.
the tandem garage, that's what it has to be. Traffic wise, I mean, we have young kids as well. So I mean, we're not for traffic at all. Whatever traffic is being generated, it's generated by us as a family, not a business. I mean, we do both work full-time. We have people coming in to watch the kids during the summer. So there are vehicles that come and go, but this is not gonna change regardless whether we build 2-car, no garage, or a 4-car garage. So all the traffic that is seen, it's from what we generate as a family. And I do understand the house was like abandoned for a little bit, so there was no traffic. So I can appreciate that, yes, the traffic is definitely bigger with us being there, but it's what we that's, I mean, us being a family. This is not gonna change regardless whether the bigger garage is there or not, or whether it's a 2-car garage. So, I mean, I think that's.
Another inquiry was about the RV that was
Oh,
parked.
yeah.
So you can.
Oh, that's, I mean, our personal RV that we used, you know, for a camping trip. So yes, it was parked the night before we left, before 4th of July. Then we came back on the 7th. It was parked for another few days so we could unload and clean. And then it was taken back, all the RVs that he owns, RV business. But all the RVs that we have are stored at a commercial parking lot in Roselle. So they're not stored at the property. And he also has a trucking business, but all his trucks and the trailers are also stored in a commercial parking lot in Roselle down on the Central. So nothing is stored that's not personal on our property. And there's no, I mean, I'm not sure where the transactions in terms of money exchange, anything like that comes from, because I mean, we don't sell anything. I mean, yes, he does collect a lot of cars. I think he probably has a lot, probably 6 now, but some of them are antiques and they're stored in the storage. So there was a time that he got the Mitsubishi 3000 GT that was in the driveway for a little bit until it was taken to a body shop and now it's in a storage. But I mean, that's our personal property. This is not for business. Correct.
I'm in the trucking business, not in the auto repair business. So, you know, having 5 trucks, 5 trailers, I don't really have to, you know, repair cars in front of my house. I don't even wash a car in front of my house. I got a lot of, you know, materials for the roof that I applied for a permit. But I don't have a space to keep it. I got it last year, and I didn't have time before winter to do this, and it's still sitting there. So.
And trust us, I mean, it bothers us as much as everyone else that it sits there. We don't like how it looks. That's why we want to build this garage finally. So we have a place to put everything inside and it's not in the driveway. So it doesn't look bad. The house looks clean. I mean, we've already put a lot of money into the house to make sure it looks nice from outside and inside. So by far, this garage is not meant to devalue any property around or our own. I mean, this is what we feel would best fit our need. And yes, it's a little bit bigger just so we can store everything we have. But
another thing that we did a lot of job into this property with the new landscaping.
Right.
fence, everything. We have to do everything, you know.
And,
by one. So,
and another complaint, I think, was about the wooded area and the trees and so forth. And yes, we did cut down a lot of trees, but we did get a complaint also from somebody that there was a lot of dead trees on the property. And
we also plant a lot of
And we had an inspector come last year and point what trees were dead that we had to take care of. So yes, a lot of trees were removed. And there is a lot of green portions missing from the house, but that wasn't a fault of our own. I mean, we were essentially told her that they need to go, they went. But we planted new trees, new greenery. So yes, it's gonna get better probably in a few years, but it's a process. I mean, the house really was in a bad shape, so it just takes a while before we can back to look as nice as other houses in the property, but essentially that's the goal, to keep it uniform with the whole neighborhood.
I was also concerned about the tires.
Oh, yeah, that's my tires for my whatever.
Tires, my wife's car, so I don't have a garage.
But yes, so the plan is to keep it all in the garage once we get it, whether, you know, whatever it's gonna be the decision, we're gonna build a garage. But we just asked for a little bit bigger and it's not twice the size, it's essentially 300 feet extra. than what you guys allow, maybe 340 or something, just so it could fit the 4 cars, so they don't have to be at the driveway.
We cannot, I mean, we can put the 3-car garage, but it doesn't make any sense, you know,
Yeah,
to do the structure.
it would have to be in a
Another
tandem too.
concern was about I own 2 pickup trucks, and one pickup truck is red with some company, construction company information. That's how I got it. So I'm not in the construction business. I got from my website, what company do I own? So I'm not in the auto business. Company called Paradise Rental that I rent RVs. I have another company called Contact Logistics Group. And I'm not in auto business at all, neither construction business. So,
I mean, by far, we don't want this to be an inconvenience to anyone. I mean, our goal is to make it look nice, to make sure we have enough room to store what we need to store. So there's not a lot of, complaints in terms of what's being stored on the driveway, what's not being stored in the driveway. I mean, we're gonna put a lot of money into building this. I mean, yeah, it would be so much cheaper to build a 2-car garage, but is it gonna solve everything? No, because then we're still gonna have 2 of the cars sitting, and there's still gonna be stuff that we won't have room to fit in. So that's why we thought we'll invest a little bit more money and try to get a bigger garage so it can fit our needs. That was the whole process of it. I mean, by far.
we cannot build attached garage.
Right, and it's not because of the sprinklers, it's just we have no way of connecting the garage into the house. We would have to essentially get rid of one of the bedrooms in the house. Or the bed.
Where the kids,
Correct, there would be no windows, so there would be a little bit tricky, because we thought about it. I mean, we wanted an attached garage, it's so much easier, right, than detached, but unfortunately, with how the house is laid out, we would really have to make a lot of changes inside to the layout. So I think it's almost impossible, right? I'm not,
So the house was in a horrible condition when we got it. We did a lot of work into it, but like I said before, little by little. I got pictures from before, how the house looks, and I got pictures from today.
and yes, we do not want any more traffic either. I mean, we have 2 young kids that ride the bikes all the time outside.
That's why we choose the cul-de-sac.
So that's kind of, I don't understand this whole traffic thing, but this garage is not gonna generate more traffic, regardless what it is, because I mean, it's still gonna stay the same. Any questions?
One of your vehicles has dealer plates on it.
Yes.
If you're not in the auto business, how do you have those plates?
I'm not in the auto business, but I use all the cars here.
In Chicago?
Yeah.
Windy City Auto, was it?
Windows.
Auto.
Windy
This is
Auto.
located in, and this is a car dealer, not a repair facility. Go to the website, windyauto.com, which I sold 50% of the business. The guy who's running and operating. So that's why I got dealer.
So you are in the auto business.
I'm not in the auto business. I'm not doing anything with this business. I own 50% of this business.
So you're in the auto business.
But the office is in Chicago. 4601 South Answer. The lab is in Chicago. I'm mainly running a shop, which is located 170 North Garden. I never did any transaction or repairs in front of my private house. So this, since I got 5 trucks running, I really don't have to do, any repairs or anything. I want to stay away from the cars. I only keep antique cars, hard to find cars, and I got them in the storage.
I mean, there were times that there were maybe on the driver for a little bit until we find the placement, but not permanent by far, so it changes. And he has 2 more cars coming that will end up in the storage as well, but essentially if their car is there for like, a day or 2, or sometimes even longer, that's because he's looking for a storage for it.
think that's probably why your neighbors think there is repair or an auto business because cars come in
Correct.
so often.
No, and completely.
And you have dealer plates.
Yes,
It's
and we
kind of
completely-
perception is reality. Yeah.
And But yeah, I mean, we do understand where the concerns are coming. That's why, I mean, I feel it's important for us to address it. But
I have a question. Why do you have to have a second door?
Well, we just felt logistically it would be better just in case for like lawn mowers and everything to take it out from the back. Right, and because that back door would open into the backyard, so we could directly take it in and use that.
That was the idea from the beginning, but right now the back door will be, there will be no back door.
Well, right
Because,
now,
the land.
elevation,
yeah,
how it is, it
there's
wouldn't
no
be
way to-
exit through the back.
Exactly. There will be no door, no back door.
But initially, that was our plan.
Just for the lawn, like.
The lawn, yeah, to have access to the back lawn, but that's not gonna happen.
Any other questions at all?
Would you be okay with reducing the size to a true 4-car garage? Because you're building a 6-car garage. I said, would you be okay with reducing the size of the garage so that it was a true 4-car garage? Because what you're building is actually a 6-car garage. You might draw 4 cars on the plan, but you've got a 16-foot door that you're putting 2 cars. So you got 8-foot spacing. You have another 11 feet built into the garage. I could easily fit 3 F-250s side by side in that garage. It's a 6-car garage by size. So a true 4-car garage would be a 16-foot wide door and a 1.5 feet on either side of the door. And that would get you within code and you wouldn't even have to be here tonight.
It'd still be the same depth? Would it be?
Same depth. It
Same
could be, it could be the same depth, 40 feet, but it would be 19 feet wide. And that is the standard 4-car, 2 deep. Get through zoning. You don't need to be here. Sure.
How can I put 6 cars in here?
Here. So you got 5.5 feet here. And you
Yeah,
got,
but I wanna do some kind of, maybe shelves or something.
oh, I could absolutely agree, but I'm saying size wise, truly it is a 6-car garage. You could fit 6 cars. And I think that's why some of the public has issues with the size of the garage because in all reality, that's a 6-car garage. You got 11 more feet to
The main
fit.
reason of the, garage like that is to use it as a storage a little bit because
Mhm.
we are, having, much space inside the house. So I want to put some shelves here, and there is absolutely no way to squeeze more than 4 cars in there. When I put-
If you put shelves, but I'm saying just size wise, it's the size of a 6-car
Yeah, but there
garage.
is probably no way to get in with 6 cars. There's
I could,
no way to put 1 car here, 1 car here, as physically not, possible.
I bet
But
you
it
got
is-
creative.
It is built for shelves in here and here. So then I can put only 4 cars.
Correct.
And
And
that's the,
if you built shelves all the way, you could only fit 2 cars. So what I'm saying is it's not so much what you're building, it's the size that you could fit 6 cars. You could fit 6 F-250s in there, crew cab.
So to make sure I understand,
No, you could make it work.
so to make sure I
We're in
understand,
a similar business. I could make it work.
so you're saying you're looking at a width of 20 feet in lieu of 27?
19 and change. That would get you to the proper size that you would not need to be here. And that would give you a true 4-car garage, except you wouldn't have as much for storage on the side. Now, if you want to do 5 foot on one side, a 1.5 feet on the other, so that definitely could not fit 6 cars, that's a smaller variance, but I think some of the questions that we had, everything alluded to the size of the garage, it being a 6-car garage. And it's not so much what you guys are gonna do. You're gonna sell the home eventually. Every house gets sold eventually. Your new neighbor might take those out and have a 6-car garage. So I think it's the size that concerns most of us.
Any other Questions at all? We're going to take questions from people, and then you'll have a chance to answer anything, address anything in the future. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. All right, we have now we're opening it to the gallery, and Teresa and Paul, if you guys want to come up. We have Teresa and Paul first, and then you'll get a chance to speak. Yes.
He's kind of optional. He wants to say
Yeah.
something.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Would
My
you-
name, Teresa Vera at 285 Park Lane in Roselle.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to thank you for reading the letter in its entirety. That saves me time, on that. And I appreciate hearing what the petitioner's comments were as well. I think even despite the comments, the whole meeting has been very illuminating tonight with all the rules and regulations. So I really appreciate that. So I think for me, at the end of all the conversation, we're still left with the fact that that there is a standard in this community. There are ordinances in place, and by and large, a lot of the people that responded, including ourselves, were saying, we really are looking for you guys to uphold those ordinances. I love, too, what you said, Todd. I appreciate that. It's also not just about what's going on right now, because the house could get sold in a couple of years. And then what's going in there next, or what's going to happen next is kind of a slippery slope on the variance, as well. Especially that when you have that huge, a permanent structure, the impact, the long-term impact on ourselves as right next door to them is particularly significant. And we've been living here for over 17 years in this community. And like folks said, when we think about the consistency with the general community, I was actually surprised. I drove around the neighborhood recently, and everywhere in our neighborhood within like a 4 or 5 square block past Turner Park, like literally you have to go north of Devon to even find another home with a detached garage, period. The only other one is ours, actually, right next door. And we've been living there for over 17 years. I have no idea when that was built. Mr. Zini might very well know when that was built.
For my time, I can say with your conscience, yeah.
But that is really the only one. And I was really surprised to see that. The neighborhood has gone through a lot of fantastic renovations, over the years. Every single person that has done those renovations has stayed within those ordinances and has maintained a, attached garage. So I don't think that we're asking any of the neighbors anything beyond, we want to uphold the ordinances. We want to, have the homeowners who removed an attached garage to remain consistent with having an attached garage. And it seems like through the discussion today, there is plenty of opportunity for them to maintain that attached garage. They do not need to have the detached garage. The other thing that's not mentioned that I didn't put in mine is, because we have the property right next door, I know that our garage at some point had some kind of variance. And that's where I took issue with this, any and all other variances that's listed in the petition. I don't know what those are. I don't know how close this is going to be to my garage right now. I don't know how the roof line is going to hang over or anything right now with the way this is. And if this is approved, it just gives them carte blanche to do whatever they want that's consistent with those plans, and remove other variances. So what I'm concerned about is not just the water going like under my foundation in my garage that's right there, but also there's a potential that this is going to create like a gangway, a little area that's between his garage and my garage that's going to look like a city block might have, and that could potentially be a security risk when me or my family go in and out of our garage every day. There could be people there in this small space hiding. We have no idea, right, what's going on. So if he moved the garage up to his house, right now he's asking for like 6.82 feet of space between his house and where the garage would start. That's a big difference. And if that was up against his house, I would not have that safety concern going in and out of my garage every day. And again, that garage has been there since he purchased the home, and the ordinance have been in place since they purchased the home. They know, they need to know what the rules are, and they need to adhere to those rules. And it's not they should not be asking for all of us within Roselle and in this neighborhood to adjust to their lifestyle and their potential desire to have this as a detached garage and not impact as an attached garage as consistent with the ordinances. So I feel very strongly about those few points, and just wanted to bring those things back up. I don't think any of the arguments that they put forth, especially if they have the money to do all the renovations, then they have the money to build the garage in the appropriate way in line with the ordinance. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. What questions?
Yeah, Karen, they,
For her.
a comment. There's no ordinance prohibiting them from building a detached garage. If he stays within the square footage, he can still build a detached garage, and we have no say.
Correct.
Okay, correct, yeah. We're here only for the size of the detached garage. Yeah.
So I just want to clarify that if he can still build a detached garage as long as he stays under the size, and we have no say in any of that.
And he can build an attached garage the size he has right now, if it's attached. For the ordinance, okay. Anybody else wish to, you've been waiting, come on up.
Janice Stewart, 212 Park Lane.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you. What's your name?
I just wanted to state that I've lived in the Town Acres area for over 50 years and have seen great changes. However, this request to allow an 1,100 square foot garage is something that should definitely be denied. My 2-car garage is 400 square feet. So that's how, I'd like to know, how big are all your garages? Are they 400 square feet? Are they 2-car garages? Think about having 3 times that practically as a garage, or being right next door to something that is almost 3 times the size of a 2-car garage. That's very large. That's very deep. That's going to be a detriment to the neighborhood. And I think the homes on the court are somewhat close to another towards the front, because it appears that those homes are kind of in pie-shaped, interesting shapes. So that is going to, a building that size is not only appropriate, but it's also detrimental to the value of the homes in the area. Because even though they think they're going to put all these cars away and not have anything out there, you can't even drive around the cul-de-sac or barely ride a bike through the cul-de-sac with all the traffic that's for some reason is generated in that home. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Wait, any questions from staff? Okay. Anybody wish to come up and address? No, I don't have any.
Anthony Bonavolante, I live at 845 Butternut Court, Roselle, Illinois.
Redacted. That could have been it.
You already heard my other comments.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you.
Sorry, my voice, came down with something just this morning. If he meets all the code requirements, I can't see how you as a board, or I sat on your side of the fence before, can deny him. The principle here is he is opening by granting a variance that he's requesting. I think that should be denied. If he meets all the requirements, then I don't think you have a chance of denying him without him taking you to court. However, he already stated that he is a car dealer. He's owned the car place. He's got 5 cars. I understand that he repairs cars. We have a precedent already in Roselle where there's a gentleman, which I'm not going to bring up at this point, that bought a house, decided that he meets all your codes. He parks his cars in the garage, he repairs them in the garage, and he sells them out of that garage for his own personal profit. And there's nothing you can do about it because he has a tenant in there who says he's living there and he just happens to sell these cars by himself. Do not, and if he does that, that's fine if he meets all the code requirements and no one complains about the cars being out there. I don't think you should grant the petition as presented. And then I asked one question of, if he did do the garage, are you taking into consideration when you do the floor area ratio, the pavement area? Okay, I know she's
Those
good
were
enough
questions
to
we
do
had
that.
earlier, so he would still be within the 40%.
Okay, thank you very much.
It used to be 30%, I think, when you were on the board. We,
Went to 40%.
yeah, it's 40. They granted it up.
And I could add on to my house too, but I don't want to.
On our age.
Hello,
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
yes,
If you state your name for the record.
Paul Vera at 285 Park Lane in Roselle.
Thank you.
So there's a lot of good points were brought up, and I like to think somebody had brought up the point where it was how would somebody like to have a garage 3 times the size of their 2-car garage, and which is so true. You know, average size 2-car garage, they're going to be 3 times that size. And somebody also mentioned about what's going to happen in 2, 3 years, or 4 years from now. If they should sell that property. You know, what could the next residents do potentially to turn that into something? And the other question somebody mentioned or brought up about the increased traffic. And I know what that increased traffic is from car trailers dropping off cars at his residency. And I think that will escalate with a bigger garage. And that's added traffic, added people that just really that's where that comes from. And I'm a witness. I've seen it. And again, like somebody mentioned, the dealer plates. That cars being dropped off goes back to dealer plates on cars. And the fact that he had mentioned that he owns 50% of an auto business, even though he's not in the auto business, he doesn't do that, but he owns 50%, I think he mentioned. And that's the reason why he has dealer plates. And he also collects cars. Maybe that's why I see the cars being dropped off and trailers waiting there for him to get there, and causing some inconvenience to other people and the residents in that cul-de-sac while they're waiting for the cars to be unloaded. I guess the other thing my wife brought up, which I'm very concerned about, is if that garage was built the way it shows, of what type of a gangway that could be between our 2 houses. I grew up in the city, and I didn't like gangways as a kid, and I definitely don't like gangways as an adult, and potentially all the children that we have in our neighborhood. And who knows, it could be lurking in that gangway between the 2 garages that could very likely happen if this 6-car or 4-car garage is built. And it's not very secure. At least I don't think it would be a very secure part. Like my wife said, to get into the garage or leave our house or come through our house, we would be worried about what potentially might be in that gangway between the 2 houses. And then somebody else also brought up a point where he mentions it's a 4-car garage, but he needs storage, and which actually, like somebody mentioned, well, you can fit 6 cars in there. And again, that's the space that just really, it's going to really be an eyesore to our community, especially to us, and the values to our homes in this community. Thank you.
I do have one question. How big is your garage? Do you know square footage?
No, I don't know the square footage. I know a gentleman asked me, and I don't know. I'm being honest. I don't know. I don't.
Okay.
Anybody else would like to come up and address the committee? Would you guys like to come up? Yeah.
One is the traffic again, because that lurks me the most. I mean, for someone to say that you cannot even drive around the cul-de-sac, it's completely untrue. I mean, like, you can come and sit there all day long and see how quiet it is. I mean, like I said, we have kids and they ride their bikes all the time and nothing has ever happened. There's really hardly any traffic, period. And if there is traffic, it's not only generated by us, but everyone else. And I don't even know how some people get to the cul-de-sac that have issues about it, because this is not somewhere where you can get through. So I mean, apparently you have to take a trip just to see what's going on there, because it's not like you can get through. So for people who don't live at the cul-de-sac, to say that you can't even drive around it, I mean, that's just untrue statement, because I'm there every day and we have young kids that are out of school now, along with other kids in the neighborhood, and they're riding their bikes, their scooters, and there's really not a significant traffic to point, especially that this garage would even like make it worse. And my other concern is with these trailers dropping up cars. Now it almost seems like it's happening every day. And I think ever since we've been there, there may be like 4 cars that were dropped off.
Exactly. And I have an off-road Jeep that I have to put on the flatbed to take it, you know.
But that happens maybe hardly ever. So this is not like a daily occurrence or even a weekly occurrence or even a monthly occurrence. That's why I don't really understand why. And again, regardless of what size garage we build, none of this is gonna change. And the gangway,
That is way over 10 feet.
with
between,
that, and there's still gonna be some gangway, whether it's a 2 or 4 car garage. So I don't see that as well as being a significant of an issue. And I don't want any security or safety issues as well. I mean, it's not like I want something that will happen to us or the kids or the neighbors. I mean, we're not doing this to put anyone in harm's way. I'm sorry. So.
Another thing that our neighbor was talking right before us, his garage is way over 1,200 square feet and it's detached. So he didn't allow us to do the detached garage at all. And his garage is way bigger than 1,200 square feet. So
I mean, that's
doesn't make
besides
any
the
sense.
point. I mean, and this is
Yeah.
by far, I mean, our few neighbors down the road also have a detached garage. So I'm not really sure where this is coming from, that all the garages are attached. And honestly, if we could, we would have a attached garage. Unfortunately, it's just not gonna work. So I think at this point, the only issue is the size of the garage, and we'll see what you guys decide what we can build. And this is what we're gonna go with. I mean, we're not here to argue. We're not here to devalue any properties or make anyone feel uncomfortable. We want to make sure everything, you know, flows, and we'll just do whatever is decided. I mean, we're not gonna pursue lawyers like that was mentioned. No, that's not why we're here. So.
And I'm not in the car business, so that's 100%. I will not sell anything or repair in front of my house, and I can sign a legal affidavit saying that. So I stay away with business from my
Home
house.
is home.
Yeah.
Exactly. So whatever we see is what we
Especially-
do for our personal use, and this is not gonna change.
So,
Okay.
thank you.
Anything else? Staff? Commissioners, any questions?
Ollie,
No, no questions.
just wanted to make sure.
I'm here.
Okay. We're at the point now we can, yes, you have to come up, please.
Question, the petitioner mentioned a couple of things today. One is that the garage and the garage door in the back would be removed from the request. Is that going to be documented somewhere in that, like,
Well, that's what they're stating if it gets passed the way it is right now.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then the other thing, the other question that I have is there something that I don't know if this is a question to the petitioner, I guess, but is there any way to sort of ensure that if there are businesses that are, and there's another site where cars are being kept off site and whatever, is there anything that helps us to ensure as neighbors that the drop-off doesn't happen at the residence? Because if the drop-off happens at the residence, right?
Yeah,
So-
you have to come up and address them, please.
Yeah, I think that's my
I
question.
don't think,
because-
I don't know how you police stuff like that. We don't, we're not-
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that's just a question. Yeah, if there's any
Absolutely.
way to kind of regulate that or.
Yeah, and then for the record too, we have an online form that you can fill out if you have code enforcement concerns, and it can be anonymous. So if people truly do have concerns about properties within Roselle, we always highly recommend using that form instead of, waiting for issues like this to come up and then all complain at once.
Yeah, it's hard. I think you can hear the neighbors are in general in this area have been concerned, and people like to be nice neighbors. Nobody likes to stand up here and say anything. But when push comes to shove and there's going to be something permanent and, and it requires a variance, then we have to force ourselves, as uncomfortable as it is, to come up and say something, and why other people have said something too at this point. But thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else from the audience wish to speak? Would you care to come up and address her concerns or?
Bring a tow trucks in front of my house, but I was thinking right now that I just got an antique car in Washington that I was looking for a while, but it will not come to my house. It will come to my storage, so they're not going to be able to see anything. But still, I have the Jeep that I have to put him on the flatbed and then take it off-roading and bring it back.
But I
So
think we can make general statement that
yeah.
we can definitely try and work as much as we can to make sure that whatever cars he gets for his own use or drop them somewhere else possible. And it's really arrangements. Happens at all, but it's work on this. We're gonna have to park it somewhere else. Minimize the
And about the campers too, because
They don't make happy our neighbors.
But the campers, it's hard. I mean, yes,
That-
we're not parking them, but I need them at the house to pack it. So for a day or
I mean,
two.
last year when I parked the camper, I didn't know the rules, and the code
Enforcer
enforcement
came,
enforcer came and let us know that we cannot keep it by the house just for a few days before, a few days
Correct.
after. That's exactly what we did.
Yes.
A few days before and a few days after. I got a separate commercial parking for the campers, and they're sitting over there.
Anything else you wish to add? Okay. Is there anybody else in the audience who want to speak? Come on up, on your carpet. That's fine. We want to take our time and address everybody's concerns.
Appreciate being called a liar when I'm standing right next to people that are saying that they only unload and load their trailer for 2 days and don't leave it there longer than that. You have pictures that I took, from the photo. The day before I was ready to complain, that trailer moved. Otherwise, you would have had an official record on document that said how long that trailer was there. So that's all I wanted to say.
Need a tall wall. You're addressing the committee, you're not talking with each other. Yes. Yes, thank you. Is there, yeah. You want to come up and state that, yeah.
Pictures right now. So before we went camping, we parked the camper in front of our house just to make a cleanup, to pack it. And this was for no longer than 7 days, which is allowed by the city. And after we came back on, there was a 7, we moved the camper on 13. So we got 6 days.
Thank you.
This is absolutely true.
Thank you. Anybody else? Once we close the public hearing, no more testimony, so. You guys comfortable? Said your voice. Anything else? No? Commissioners, you have any questions for anybody before we close? Nope. Ollie?
I guess my only question is there is a home down the way at 255 Park that does have, technically, it is fixed to the property because they have a common roof. There is a breezeway, but the two-car garage there's no interior door that connects the home to the garage. So in this circumstance, and I apologize, maybe I should have asked this earlier, is there a breezeway option that could be connected to the home to make this?
It would be considered an attached structure. As long as a roof attaches, that would be considered an attached structure. And then you would have to connect the foundation.
Okay.
And usually they put a gate in between. So it doesn't have to be an enclosed heated conditioned room.
That's exactly what the neighboring home does have.
So that is a possibility and an option. I think that's it. Any other questions? You know, that's one thing I would ask staff to look into in more depth. You know, I'm just going about my history. So I'd ask you to validate that. Breezeway option.
Oh, yeah, it would. I believe we would consider it attached if it's sharing a roof. I would need to verify that though. I'm not 100% certain.
In the past, that's how they
Yeah.
treated with me. And then the other thing would be, Holly, then the size, if it's 50% or greater, it would then kick in a requirement for sprinklers. If it's less than 50%, then it would not kick in. And the square footage would be determined as the existing use of the house right now with the converted garage, the existing attached converted garage for the square footage. Correct?
Yes.
Yep.
As I understand, there's some concerns about the look of the neighborhood and trying to be uniform with neighbors, and it would look, I understand, you know, people's concerns that way, and I'm just trying to give all perspectives here, so.
Okay. Anything else, Holly? I can't see you raise your hand. That's why.
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. If no other questions or comments, I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Diana Eckert.
Aye.
Carlo Cicciarillo.
Aye.
Todd Eichels.
Aye.
Holly Priestley.
Aye.
Chairman Zinni.
Aye. Okay. Discussion around commissioners amongst us.
It's hard because I feel for you guys that your garage is 1,200 feet. I just did an aerial measurement. It's actually larger than what they're asking for. Does it mean that it should have been approved before you bought the house? I was probably still in high school. Probably
Actually,
not.
we can't consider, it was that was
Yeah.
before the ordinance changed. So that was grandfathered in a
Right.
long time ago. Yeah.
But should it have been even approved then? I wouldn't have voted for it.
That was
Um,
even out of.
So it's hard to say you can't have something that your neighbor has that you're actually looking for smaller. So I do feel bad about that. Your house is about 2,100 square feet. It sounds like there might be some ways for you to do attach with a breezeway to accomplish what you want and not have any of us have any say in it. The other option is to shrink the size of the garage and still get a true 4-car garage. It might not be as big as you want, but then that would also not be up to us whether.
It's all within zoning and code. We're closed. Sorry.
Sorry, I should have been
Yeah.
saying it this way, but yeah,
And I think that's how I've been viewing this as well. If the attachment took place, the size is appropriate. The setbacks you said were met and also the site coverage for the 40% would be met. So they
So-
wouldn't even be here.
it wouldn't matter how we feel about any of this.
I would just Do you mind? So I'm looking up the detached structure definition and I'm having a hard time because there's a lot of double negatives. So I just like to read it aloud so we can all attempt to figure out what it means. So a detached structure is any structure having no party wall or common wall with another structure. Bridges, tunnels, breezeways, and other similar means of connecting one structure to another shall not, for the purposes of this ordinance, be considered to constitute a party wall or a common wall.
What were the four options again?
Tunnel.
A bridge, tunnel, breezeway, or other similar means. So those things shall not be considered a party wall, and a detached structure is any structure having no party wall. So how I'm reading that is it's, even if you had a breezeway, it would still be considered detached because it's not enclosed. Is that how everyone else is understanding?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay.
That's what it sounds like to me too.
So then it would have to be enclosed on all six sides. Okay. Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
So just a couple comments. I want to point out that I did spend some time with this one. I passed by the house, I drove the neighborhood. And just going back to some of the comments we heard about that 1,200 square foot garage that's next door, and we try to do the same thing. I think one of the things I certainly have to keep in mind, and that we all should, is that we don't necessarily want to make variances the norms either, especially if it wasn't by our committee. And then in terms of creating or decelerating value in property around neighbors and then this house itself, I think that's pretty questionable to me too. I think if anything, value could potentially stay neutral, maybe even decelerate. I don't know that we would really create a whole lot of value out of that. And the last comment I want to make is about the hardship. And we deal a lot with homeowner hardships when they want a variance for something. And I think things like, car collections or storage and stuff like that doesn't necessarily create a hardship because there's other options for stuff like that.
Holly, any comments you want to add?
I think the same comments have been said.
Nothing you want to add?
Nope.
Okay. All right, with that being said, I'd like to have a motion for the finding of facts to accept ZBA, what number are we here? 21-465. Have a motion?
Is this to approve or just for?
Finding of facts.
Just for finding of.
Yeah, we always go
facts?
to approve. So if you don't approve with the finding of facts, then you would say no.
Right.
Yeah.
Every,
For the finding of facts. You have to do finding of facts first, then you vote.
yeah, so if you're, every question has to be posed in the positive. So are you voting to approve the findings of fact for this zoning variance? If you want to approve that, you would vote yes. If you vote against it, you would vote no. You just have to phrase it in the positive.
We're a positive group.
I understand now.
Okay, so you have to, first of all, you have to have a motion to get the finding of facts. So someone has to, make the motion, then it has to be second. And then we go through the vote.
And then we go, okay,
So can I have a motion for the finding of facts?
a motion.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call.
Carlo Chicharello,
No.
Todd Eichholz,
Not at this size, no.
Diana Eckert,
No.
Holly Priestley,
No.
Chairman Zenny.
No, based on size. Thank you. Can I have a motion to accept the variance for ZBA 21-461? 65, sorry.
So moved.
Second.
Diana Eckert,
No.
Carlo Chicharello,
No.
Todd Eichholz, Holly Priestley,
No.
Chairman Zenny.
No. The motion didn't pass. That's not the end of the world, though. You still have a size of a garage you can build. And then I think if you talk with your architect, you can work on a connection. Or actually attaching your house. Yeah, I was there and I walked around. I think it is possible. Yeah. So it's just the size that didn't pass. We're not against a attached garage if it's within the size of 768 square feet. But if you do an attached garage, you can go to the size you want, but it has to be connected.
I don't want to speak for everybody, but I'd be willing to bet if it was slightly bigger than what is allowed, that we may allow that as well. I would be more open. It's a dream garage. Like, I totally get it. It's, if you had one side for shelving and then you had that 1.5 feet, so you just couldn't fit 6 cars, I would vote for that. You'd be about 900 feet. It would be a little bit bigger than what's allowed. If you came back for another one, I would vote for that. If you had 5.5 feet on one side, 1.5 on the
You want to
other.
put us through this again?
We're paid nothing to do.
My concern would be the 40% coverage. You know, when we start giving up lot coverage of 40%, I get concerned because you never get that back. Okay. With that, we're going to go to old business or new business. You can hang around and discuss things if you wish.
Or you can leave.
Or you can leave.
I don't
Okay.
have any old business.
Any old business? Any new business? Meeting next month?
The deadline hasn't passed yet, so there may still be a meeting, but I haven't received any applications as of today.
I think we're going to get another detached garage petition coming in.
It's very possible.
You know something we don't.
Yes, I do.
But yeah, we're still working on the zoning ordinance update. I think, Holly, were you gonna be on the update committee? Did the mayor call you about the zoning ordinance update review committee?
He did, but we had the initial conversation. We did not have the follow-up conversation.
Okay, so because the ZBA member that was on the zoning ordinance update committee is now on planning commission, it would be nice for an actual ZBA member to be on zoning board. I know Holly has a lot of engagements, but the mayor reached out to her. If anyone else has an interest, we'll be scheduling a meeting soon to go over the draft ordinance that has been prepared so far. And that would include policy decisions that would need to be made. So the consultant is looking for feedback on some issues, items of clarification, those sorts of things.
Who's not here today?
Lydia.
So we'll nominate Lydia.
All right,
With our blessings to
there you go.
attend the meeting. Yeah,
Perfect.
ask her. If there's no old, anything you guys want to bring, a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Well,
Yeah, I
we
think,
gotta do
Aye.
it.
I think we can do voice
Aye, All
vote.
right, we're done. Okay. Meeting's closed. You get, go drink beer or bars open.
Or the winery.
Yeah, the winery.
Well, I just want to take the opportunity to thank you guys for allowing a Zoom meeting for me. It's much appreciated. Hopefully we can get back to normal sooner than later, but for the next. couple
You're my
months-
second choice for that committee, Holly, but we're on Zoom. So.
All right, guys. Well, you have a great night.
Thank you.
Goodbye.